So if you are a student or a student of architecture and you've been struggling to pass exams or to up your grades while you have studio and you have other assignments and you're wondering which to sacrifice for which, but your grades are not getting better, then this is the video for you. If you have not subscribed, please click that subscribe button so that you get these tips and understand how exactly you can follow them to get better grades. Tip 1 might appear simple, but then tip 5 is going to blow your mind. And then tip 10 is going to make you wonder, how did I miss it all this while? So just stay tuned and let me take you on this simple journey of just 10 tips that will change you from being a struggling student or struggling student of architecture to a hero student. Tip number 1, know thyself. Most students don't really know who they are. They don't know what makes them tick. They don't know why they're not doing well. You need to be honest with yourself as a student of architecture. Why exactly am I struggling? Am I playing too much? Or am I not studying enough? Or do I assume that I know this subject and then when the questions come out in the exams or in the tests, I flunk? You need to understand what it is about yourself that makes you unique in this sense, and then begin to ask yourself the hard questions. So what do I need to do to be better? Tip number 2, study immediately after lectures. So if you are a student of architecture or any other student, this works. When I was struggling while I was in the university, it was one of the things that helped me get better. When I followed rule number 1, tip number 1, and I was honest with myself, asking myself why I wasn't doing really well, the next thing I did was to ask myself what I could do to be better. So it wasn't so much about studying and understanding, it was actually about finding out what exactly I could do to get better. Studying immediately after lectures helped out a lot, and I'll tell you how. Usually we would have lectures in the daytime and then you'd have the evening time to do your studio work. So what I did was immediately after the lectures or when we had any break between lectures, I would sit in class and I would study what the lecturer just talked about. And if we had any time after all the lectures, the first thing I would do would be to sit down and study what the lecturer talked about. Or I would go to the library, and in the library, I would see more materials that would help me get better. What this did for me was that I was able to connect what the lecturer was talking about while in class to the material that I was studying. And then I started doing all these extra study and research. And because I was quite consistent at it, it now became second nature to me. I knew what I was looking for, I knew what I wanted to achieve, and I stuck to the plan. Tip number 3, find a quiet place to study. So don't study where there's noise because you would not concentrate. You want to study where there's no noise. You want to study in a place that is comfortable, but not too comfortable so you don't sleep off. You want to make sure that there's nothing distracting you. Your table is clear and you're focusing on the study. Tip number 4, study like you know the examiner or you know the lecturer. You want to know how they think. You want to know the questions they ask. You want to know how they're going to ask those questions. So while you're doing the study, you want to make sure that you ask yourself the questions like it is the lecturer asking those questions. That would help you to think like the lecturer, and then you'll be able to study and prepare ahead because you already know what the lecturer is going to ask if there's a surprise test or if there's an examination. Tip number 5, use past questions as a map. Not really for revision, but as a map. You want to ask yourself, why was this question asked 2 years ago and it came out last year? It came out 3 years ago as well. It probably will come out this year. I want to prepare myself in case these questions come out. So you want to have a map of questions and then follow those maps. They help you to prepare ahead so that you're not shocked when the questions come out. Rule number 6, aim to know, not to pass. Not to pass. Aim to know. So when you're studying, do enough research. Check out correlating subjects on that subject. Okay, so you want to know why this is this, and then you go and study a little more material to make sure that you understand the connection between this and this. That is what makes those whose grades shoot up. That's what makes them tick, because they don't just study the subject matter that matters at that point in time. They also look for other related subjects or topics and they connect them together and it makes them sharper. Tip number 7, take short breaks. So don't just keep studying and studying and studying. Sometimes it won't enter after a while. So what you need to do is take a little break, maybe like a 2-minute break after maybe 30 minutes of study, and then you get a bit refreshed and then you come back and then it begins to make more sense. If it is not enough, make sure you take enough breaks so your body can relax, your body can exercise, and then your brain would also be sharper and the blood flowing through your body would flow. That way you'll be able to assimilate better or perhaps understand better something that you've been struggling with. Tip number 8, you need to know your academic weakness. Is it that I don't know how to study and understand? You need to know if you have to cram. But this is the problem. When you cram, you forget immediately. But when you study over time in models, bit by bit, gently, not rushed, then you begin to know. Because when you study in bits, what you're doing is you're training your mind to understand patterns of the topic that you are studying. And when the mind begins to recognize those patterns, then it stores the information you have, not as flimsy information that just dissipates after a while, no, as intrinsic information that stays solid in your mind. Tip number 9, don't study like it's a marathon, okay? Break it down in pieces. Study this today, study that tomorrow, study something else, and then maybe at the end of the week, you come back and see how they're all interrelated. Tip number 10, architecture is not a standalone course, okay? You need to understand bits and pieces of other courses, other subjects, to be able to make architecture stronger for you. You need to understand a little bit of structures, a little bit of physics, a little bit of arts, a little bit of this and that, and everything comes together. Architecture is not meant to stand alone. Remember, the architect is supposed to be the master builder, so he needs a little bit of everything to make him a more rounded architect and make him the master builder that he was designed to be. Now, these are 10 tips that would change your thinking and change your study style. Studio does not need to suffer just because you have to study for exams or for tests. What you need to do is prepare ahead. Don't wait for the exams to be very close and then start rushing to study. When you study that way, what you do is you cram. Sometimes you don't even understand what it is you've studied. But when you prepare ahead, you are good to go and your grades would shoot up. Let me know what you think in the comment section below and let me know if this has helped you in any way. Let's know what it is that we can do to make your journey as an architecture student better. I want to thank you all for watching. If you've not subscribed, please click that subscribe button, like and comment and share to others who need these tips. Once again, my name, Architect Jibolo Oladiran, but everyone calls me Professor Newrock. I would like to welcome you all to the club where we study all these architecture tips and tricks and we help one another to grow in the study of architecture. So watch out for the next video, which will be coming very soon. I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks for watching and bye.